welcome to Above the Mark, where we take you from the soil to the office and everywhere in between.
We're your hosts, Jack and Troy, bringing you real conversations on farm leadership, rural life, and the big issues shaping modern agriculture.
Whether you're knee-deep in the field or just ag curious, there's something here for you.
So let's dig in and aim a little higher.
Well, we're back with another episode of Above the Mark. Jackie, how you been?
Troy, it's been forever since I've seen you.
Yeah. Fortunate for Jackie, she gets to hear from me quite often.
All right.
I think just yesterday I said, I'll see you in a couple days. And then I called her 20 minutes later. So she loves it secretly. Listen, the life of a podcaster never stops, you know?
I can believe it.
It's between the fan mail, the interviews.
The public just recognizing you.
It's terrible. We can't go anywhere anymore, right?
And as you can tell, he lives in a land of delusion.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're hopeful that we can bring another exciting and informational podcast today. We have another new face. We haven't doubled up on anybody yet. I think every time we've had someone new.
No.
But we have Michael Watercutter with us today. Michael, thanks for coming.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
You squeezed us in.
Yeah,
You squeezed us in.
Squeezed you in.
Okay.
Busy schedule.
I asked him.
Told me, I was like, I guess I could probably do it for Troy and Jackie.
Yeah,
So.
I asked him what he was doing today, and he said, I'm busy. And then I said, we want to do a podcast. He's like, well, actually, I think I can squeeze it. Is that how it happened?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
All right, let's make this work.
So he's here. He's here.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, kind of start off with, who you are, where you're from, family, how your son's very good at kitty tractor pulls. Not that I hold that against him, but I hold it against you because my kid can never win. But yeah, give us a little background.
Yeah, so my name is Michael Watercutter. I'm the conservation agronomist for Mercer Landmark in a unique position because I'm technically not an employee of Mercer Landmark. I'm an employee of American Farmland Trust. So I'm part of a National Fish and Wildlife grant that was opened up in 21, and I was hired in early 2022. So I've been here for almost 4 years now. As a conservation agronomist, I advise on cover crops, soil health, different programs that might be out there that our customer base can take advantage of. I grew up on a dairy farm in Shelby County, so I have a farming background, and went to college, got a degree in agronomy. Really kicked off my career as a conservation technician at a soil and water district. And then worked for a co-op as a precision ag specialist doing soil sampling, recommendations on fertilizer. And then the real big opportunity came for me on my next job when I was asked to be a research agronomist, doing research on cover crops, soil health, different seed coatings on specifically wheat, actually. And then, took another job, and at this point, got to do a YouTube video, I think it was, for Mercer Landmark, and with Eldon Sell, I think it was.
Okay.
And we got talking about cover crops, and all of a sudden, it was one thing led to another, and said, "Hey, we got a position that you might be, decent at." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take a look at it," and here we are.
Who knew? See, look at that. You're a podcast star. He's a YouTube star.
Well, if this goes on YouTube, this will be my second one. So not too many on the books. But
It's a privilege to run across a video, Michael. That's what he's saying.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how many views that had by chance? We'll blow it out of the water.
I'm sure hundreds.
Yeah. Hundreds of
Tens.
thousands. Yeah. Cool. So I guess outside of work, what are some things? Ohio State football. We talk about that a lot.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Family life. What do you got going on?
Yep. So I have a beautiful wife named Katie with 3 kids. Colton is 5, Henry is almost 3, and Elizabeth is just a little over a year old.
And our 5-year-olds compete every year at the Agro Expo.
So the Agro Expo is a little bit later this year, so he's going to be bumped up.
Well,
So he'll be 6 when he does it. So
yeah, but see, that's the thing though. Harvey's birthday is the week of the expo, so he will also be 6.
yeah. So we're
So it's
Competing.
they were born right around the same time.
3 or 4 days apart.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Just one grew like this, and the other one
Yeah.
not as rapidly. So it sounds like you got a busy schedule at home and at work. You got a lot
Yes.
going on.
Yep.
And you,
Family and the farm. And
I say, so what?
years.
What do you guys? You said you grew up milking cows.
Yep. So we milked cows until 2018.
Okay.
And then we started our steer operation in 22, I believe. So we raised animals the whole farm since the farm was established in 1895.
Holy
Wow.
cow!
Yep. And so we started raising steers before we got out of dairy as well, but really ramped up after the dairy shut down, and we started up the steer business. And we've been, kind of tap into what I do at work. We started using cover crops on our farm and doing a reduced tillage and experiment with that stuff early on in 15, 16. And really got into it in about 2020, 2021, and we've been using that stuff since. So
And that's probably a unique spot to be in, where you can do it at work, right? And you are, helping growers with it, but you also get to see it on your side of the fence too, with your own operation. So
Yeah.
it's not simply that you're going out and talking about it; you're living it too.
doing what I preach.
Yep.
Essentially, I don't want to preach it, but I think it does hold a little bit of backbone to it, as if customers listen to me talk about using a certain cover crop, being able to say that I use it on my own farm and this is the success that I've had. These are some of the setbacks. I don't like to use the word failure.
Yep.
I like to use the phrase learning experience, because we don't want to fail on anything, but there's a lot of things that just didn't work, and I learned from it. Learning experience. So we adapted to it. We either changed the cover crop or we're using it in a different sense. So be able to have a background of my own farm and doing it on my own farm, I think really holds the bar up to talking to some of our customers on how to use it, where to place things. So.
And what a great start to the relationship with the customer, right? Like being honest with them, like giving them the good and the bad, right? The setbacks. I mean, I think that's fabulous. I mean, be able to say, just putting that vulnerable trust out there, right? I mean, like this is real life.
Yeah, I'm not going to, prescribe anything that, didn't work on my farm. It might work maybe up north further, because I'm, an hour and 15 minutes south of here. So there might be some things that work up here a little differently or a little bit better than it does at my place. Testing those out and just giving my 2 cents on what I think may work or may not work, what's going to be best, and, weather puts in a whole nother aspect to it. So.
Conservation agronomist. So that's your title.
Yep.
We don't hear that very often, right? I tell everybody you're the only conservation agronomist. Maybe not true, but I also say you're the best one. So I don't know.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very much appreciate that. There's not too many within Ohio, but there's a few more here and there with, some of the stuff with H2 Ohio. There's a grant out there, I believe, that put in some conservation agronomists at different retailers for more of just specifically H2 Ohio. But I believe I'm pretty close to the only one within at least Ohio that does what I do at the co-op side of things.
So what would you say is the key difference, or maybe a couple differences, between your agronomist and your conservation agronomist?
Right.
What does that look like?
So, as an agronomist, you're trying to, promote different products that might help at the farm gate, with seed, chemicals, fungicides, just different things like that. And I'm there kind of to help with different programs that might be out there from USDA, EQIP, or just private funded programs that might be able to add value or just bring a more incentive into the farm as well. So I'm trying to give money out, essentially.
So they really like you.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. But just trying to help everybody understand maybe if, maybe there's some other conservation programs that work good for this farm or this field within a farm, but not over here. So just trying to navigate different programs, again, with, government programs or private programs out there, just trying to find that fit for all of our customer base if we can, but some of our customers aren't doing a whole lot with, reduced tillage or no-till cover crops. And there's other guys that have fully adopted it and they're using it. So, and everybody in the middle, some people trying it, some people are not. So just trying to, again, find programs that fit everybody as best as possible.
That seems to be a common misconception too, is that you're either all in or you're not, right? And I think that there's a lot of spots that you've filled in where maybe they try a field or this field qualifies
Yep.
for it, and that's unique, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's again, spin off of that. There's a lot of guys that do cover crops before beans, before corn, and after wheat. There's
Yep.
other guys that do strictly before beans and don't really want to mess with their corn. And I understand that. So again, you have everybody in between.
yeah, and there's a lot of opportunities out there, probably more so now than I mean there has been in years past. You think, or
Yeah, overall, there's going to be a new program out through USDA, the regenerative ag grant that's out there. I don't know a whole lot about that yet. I don't think much of NRCS's people know about what that is yet. So that's going to be exciting to hear. What can we use? A lot of these programs really go with customers of ours that have just started some of these cover crops or reduced tillage stuff, and don't really hone in onto the guys that have done it for a long period of time, which is unfortunate. But there are programs out there that Equip has that pay on cover crops no matter how long you've been doing it, or studies on strip till, paying on that as well. So, and East Ohio does a good job of doing different things as well with manure and phosphorus placement, again with tillage and cover crops too. So
yeah. I mean, I think when we think about conservation, we think about reduced tillage, we think about cover crops, we think about those things. And on the sustainability side, we've had some different programs around carbon, right? And that's kind of a new thing that people are hearing about and wanting to understand.
Yep.
Can you talk at all on just how carbon plays a role and why is there a spotlight on that and why those things are coming up?
Yep. So there's a lot of CPGs, consumer packaged good companies, other companies like Microsoft, Boeing, Fat Tire Brewery was one of them.
Yep.
We did a lot of carbon stuff with too. So there's just a lot of companies that are looking at, what is their sustainability, goal? Is there an emissions goal that they want to do? How they want their product to be a certain sustainability score. So a lot of the carbon programs that we had in the past revolved around just, how much carbon do you sequester in your field? Each field is different. Could have had some of the relatively the same practices done, but, yielded different carbon measures. So we did have a couple programs over the last 2 or 3 years that paid pretty well. And now we're in a different aspect of trying to work and promote programs within our own company, Mercer Landmark itself. So we're trying to find, different end users that our grain goes to a lot of our proteins, and just trying to see if they have a sustainability goal in mind and what can we do to help facilitate that. And in turn, bring some type of incentive or bonus to our customer base for that, better product.
And Jackie, you can touch on this, but we live in such a unique spot, don't we? I mean, the end users this is totally different than the rest of the country.
Absolutely. I mean, because where we're located, I mean, we are heavily feed, right? So there is feed and ethanol about every 10 to 30 miles. So that's a huge bonus. I tell growers weekly, like we're so blessed to be in an end user market because it offers a whole new outlet.
I mean, you think just a little bit south of here, it has to be in the top 5 or 10 most animal dense areas in the U.S.
Yes.
And just to have, like you said, those opportunities to go to the feed mill, the ethanol plants to get that extra is great.
Yeah.
So if a grower was interested in some sort of program, they don't know what, and you sit down with them for the first time to start looking at programs, what kind of data or records or things do we expect out of them? I know every program's a little bit different.
Yep.
But what's a good thing that they could start doing to keep track of these things to be, plug and play when it comes to the programs?
Yeah. When you think about what you can get paid for, you think about, the bushel of grain, the steak out of that steer, the milk, but nobody thinks about the data that comes off of the farm, and no farm is capturing all the data that they could. So data is a big thing. It's just trying to just keep track of what you're doing on that field throughout the whole year. Some harvest of that in 2025 is started in 2026 of what you're going to be doing. So what you applied fertilizer wise, what was planted out there, the population of it, what was your starter program for corn or wheat, what kind of, are you using stabilizers? fungicides, what type of tillage are you using out there?
Is that a year to year thing, or is that we want to have 2 years, 3 years, 4 years worth of data, or how long should they carry that data?
I mean, I would try to keep track of your data as long as you can.
Yeah.
But a lot of programs, we do look back a little bit. I know one of the programs we offered was, a 6 to 7 year look back, which was kind of hard. If you're looking through
Yes.
notebooks,
Yeah.
or, Hein John Deere was great. You could look back a little bit and get everything. But, there's a lot of times where you're sitting out there with a folder folded out, and here's a paper of what we did on fertilizer in 2017. And, but, if we can just go back a couple years and kind of get that baseline started,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of move forward on collecting a lot of that data, that's the best start. Is just start keeping track of what you're doing on every field.
Yeah, and that's kind of the power of what we're doing here. I think with the grain advisor, with the crop advisor, with bringing Michael on. Once we get that baseline set,
Mhm.
it's pretty easy for the grower as far as what they have to contribute. I mean,
Yeah.
they do their job and we take care of the rest.
Yeah, on a lot of the sustainability programs, that first visit with me might be a little long. It could be, just an hour, maybe a couple hours, just depending on how many acres there is or how
Yep.
much data that you have. But once we get that done, it's year after year. Did your corn program change much? Well, we did add a little bit less nitrogen, or we added a little bit more nitrogen here. So those will be the big things that year after year it does get easier. I maybe 1 or 2 phone calls and we capture everything.
Yeah.
So
Well, Jackie, we're taking a little break here to talk about some things that we got coming up, right?
We got a bunch of things coming up.
It's February is a busy time going into the spring, so we got a couple dates to remember. Spring oil sales coming up March 1st through April 30th. So get with the energy department, the guys there, Joe and his team. March 10th is our cattle meeting coming up down south. So if you want a free meal, be at that.
Yeah. And then we've got the Laddie wheat meeting that we put on every year. This year is going to be on March 12th. And then we also have the deadline for our wheat sustain program, which is March 16th. We're going to make sure that our growers don't miss that date.
Yep. All exciting stuff.
We're looking forward to it.
One of the programs that is kind of a hot topic around here is our We Sustain program.
Yep.
And we've had that for a couple of years, but this year it looks different, right?
Yep.
I guess talk a little bit about what the differences are this year and what guys can do to be part of that.
yeah, so I think we started the wheat program back in 22 or 23, I believe. I think it was 22. And we had a partnership with Campbell Soup on just, being able to capture some data around that wheat, having wheat in your rotation, and then giving a incentive behind that. I think the first year was 10 cents. Then the last couple of years, it's been 20 cents. And this year's a little bit different. We are going to be looking at stabilizers and fungicide. So a lot of water quality programs or sustainability programs are really trying to look at nitrogen use efficiency, making sure that nitrogen is being used efficiently. So adding that stabilizer into your wheat top dress, and then also looking at just the quality of wheat with the fungicide. So the way this program works is you do have to use a stabilizer with your nitrogen application and a fungicide application, or one or the other. So the nitrogen one, you get 10 cents at the time of delivery or when you bring that in. And then the fungicide, if you get that applied, that is a 10 cents per bushel onto your Landmark Max Rewards. So be able to use that for future products to be purchased. So you can do one or the other. You can do both and get 20 cents overall. So we're excited to see, how many bushels we can bring in this year. We've been able to ramp it up. So I think year one was 150,000 bushels or just a little over that. And I think last year was just shy of 900,000 bushels in just the wheat sustain program. So that covered, I think, roughly 12,500 true wheat acres. And we collected about 40,000 acres worth of data on that. So
do we have a goal for this year?
I think the goal with just different changes and stuff,
Yep.
if we're just a little bit under that 12, I think it'd be great. But again, if customers are just doing the stabilizer, it's still acre still counts.
Yep.
If they're just doing the fungicide side, that acre still counts. But if you're doing both, that's awesome.
And again, this year it also includes Indiana and Ohio acres.
Yep.
And it's not something that they have to start doing, right? So they've been putting fungicide on.
Correct.
They've been doing stabilizers, or maybe they've already got it prepaid. I talked to you about a guy yesterday, that already prepaid it. And now, hopefully he can get into the program It's not something they have to start doing. If they've been doing it, great. Join the program.
That's an easy phone call. Say, hey, I talked to Troy yesterday. He said, hey, you got your nitrogen stabilizer and your fungicide already prepaid, and you're locked in.
Yeah.
All I have to do is just sit down with you and collect some data points, make sure we got the fields mapped out right, and we're off to the races. So
Seems easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they can work with your team
Yes.
on marketing the grain.
Yeah, and we because we have a deadline for this, right? March 16th.
yes, that is correct.
And that is something that is very different because the past couple of years we've allowed them to go like what up until June.
Pretty much all the way up to they're in their combine, realizing there's a wheat program, and they give me a call.
Yes.
Which is a little hard. It's a little hard to collect data at the same time you're here in the combine going through, and hard for you guys to keep track of when that grain's coming in and say, hey, Farmer B here, he's just called me. We're getting wheat in. So
Yes.
having a date to where this is where you need to sign up, March 16th. I'll probably still be collecting a little bit of data, past March 16th. But at least getting that phone call and saying yes, I do have stabilizer, purchased, or I do plan on using it. I do plan on using fungicide for this year. Mark me down. We'll get the overall. We'll get you taken care of and getting you in there. And then again, throughout all the way to harvest, I'll just make sure that we have all the data points good to go and everybody's squared away and signed up and gets those incentives.
Yeah. So our team started because that deadline is quickly approaching.
Yes, it is.
So we took the grain team because this is a great phone call for us, right? I mean, because we're going to add money to your wheat bushels. So just being able to call the growers, looking back at the growers who have brought us wheat in the past, who participated in the program, even the growers who didn't participate, hey, here's an opportunity again this year, right? Making those phone calls, sending Michael a note and saying, hey, we talked to this guy, he's interested, or, hey, he's got fungicide and stabilizer, he's ready to go. So then, giving him his additional list to follow up with guys.
Yeah, the agronomy team and the grain team both have been very helpful on making sure I'm staying on track of who I'm contacting, everybody, or just getting new customers to me, because I am busy just trying to collect those data points and contacting who I already have on my list or who've done it. I don't really have that time to go out and find new customers, but the grain team has been awesome on sending me notes and so, hey, this guy's interested, he's got this many acres, and just give him a call and see what we can do. So it's been.
And there's no minimum to it. I mean, if you got 10 acres or you got
10 acres, if you got 1,000 acres a week, you can get an incentive for it. So
yeah, I think that it's worth the call, right? I mean, just to at least talk about it and see what the options are. We have a wheat meeting coming up here on March 12th, right? We have this every year at Laddie. We'll have some speakers in talking. Basically, we're focusing on high yield wheat. How do we get the most out of our wheat? And I think we're going to talk about this a little bit. I mean, that's pretty close to the deadline. Yep. But even if they come to the wheat meeting on the 12th and they say this is for me, they still got time to do it, right?
Yep. So still got time. You sit down here right after the meeting and plug away a couple of data points here, and off you go. So if you're at the March 12th meeting and you want to quickly sit down with me and get that stuff entered in, we can do it real quick. So
it makes it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice added value that we can have.
Yes.
And it's unique to us, right? So
that is true.
And that's a nice point to be able to talk to guys with. They put their trust in us, and we're every day. That's why we have someone like you here to be looking at these avenues that can add value without you really changing what you're doing, or maybe one small little tweak, right?
Yep.
And then we bring in an agronomy advisor to help walk through that. And there's really shouldn't be any tough points with it. Unless you work with Jackie, and then you got to call Jackie, and
then it's just downhill from there.
Right. But that's the beauty about some of these sustainability programs. The wheat program is, fairly easy to get into, as long as you have it in your rotation. In the past, as long as you had it in rotation, willing to sit down with me and, go through some data, it worked out great. This year, there's some requirements, which is great. We do want, to have better nitrogen use efficiency on the wheat and corn as well. And then, we want quality of wheat, and that fungicide brings that package to it. And then there's other sustainability programs that may be a little bit harder to get into because you have to be doing some more conservation-minded type practices. So, hopefully we keep continuing to have programs that meet all aspects of where you're at in the in the fun journey of soil health and sustainability. So
Yeah, when it comes to fungicides and stabilizers, if it's a grower that's not using them currently, this is a great way to dip your toes into it a little bit and see what it's like while getting rewarded for it.
and last year, a lot of those customers earned some points on Landmark Max to where now they can use that towards trying that stabilizer, trying that fungicide.
Yep.
And it's always good to try new things and try, it may not have worked in the past for some reason, but now that some of these new products are, greater than ever and are working well now. So again, trying new things on the farm, trying, if it's just a product or a practice, it's always good to see what works and what may not, or may be a learning experience.
Yeah. And then with our team here, I mean, we're able to help you collect that data and really dial in if it did work.
Right.
We don't want you to be doing anything that doesn't bring a profit to your farm.
Yeah.
So.
And, there's some programs that do, we do have to collect a lot of data, but that helps me be able to see that, some of the corn and soybeans data that we're going to be collecting, hopefully down the road, end of this year, sometime next year, we do have some type of program around soybeans maybe, or some type of program around corn. And then, years past, we've had carbon programs around milk, working with Bell Brand on an incentive around the milk payment. That kind of came from the carbon sequestered in the ground, but that was a partnership for, milk. So again, with the amount of animals we have in this area, with the feed opportunities that we have, there's different avenues that we can go down. And I'm excited that this year, next year, we'll be able to work with some people to hone in our own programs and kind of create those and hopefully add a more value and reward to everybody.
What does a day as a conservation agronomist look like?
Yeah, throughout the year, it's a little different. Like right now, it's really concentrated around the wheat program, just contacting customers, getting the data collected, and just getting that established. So that's going to be my busyness through the next month or two. And then throughout the year, just trying to work with customers around questions around cover crops and tillage. Weather plays a big part on just different practice changes. So, if the guy was planning on spraying wheat or spraying, cereal rye really quick in the spring, but we get a heavy rain, trying to advise on what to do throughout that. Trying to find different programs, staying up to date on, what EQIP has available, what USDA has available, and again, private companies too, seeing what they have available and if it fits, our customer base and what we have throughout, Northwest Ohio. And then just kind of helping around, with, again, different questions around sustainability and just the different programs that we might have to offer throughout the year. So it kind of just depends on when you ask me that question. Today it's a lot around wheat.
Today, right now, 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast, and I hope that we didn't torture you too much, and you want to come back sometime.
Oh yeah.
We'll do another one again, and we'll talk about what the final numbers were of the wheat program and how all that came together. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they reach out? How do they get a hold of you?
Yep, you can just call me on my cell or email. Just contact me through that, and then we can get together to either just really a quick phone call on the programs, or come out and do a farm visit, collect some data and do it that way. But I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast and look forward to next time.
Good luck with all the press reaching out to you, because that's pretty popular.
I just hit you up for pointers.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Okay. Well, Jackie, it was fun. We'll be back again for another episode. Thank you, guys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Above the Mark.
Be sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify along with YouTube, and we'll see you next time.